Okay, I think we're running. Great. So we're still on the lots of bullshit and all that, and that's talking about like how many kills is enough kills for Israel to don't these people get that it's nothing? It's not in regards of killing people. It's in regards of killing Hamas. Destroying Hamas, obliterating Hamas, so they're not there anymore. Why is it that there's so much bullshit out there? And the whole world, besides Israel, and at least have some sanity, seems to be promoting a two-state solution. And where do you think that comes from? Well, the papacy, of course. The papacy, because the papacy is the Antichrist. And so, yeah. I actually have a quotation, and all roads leads to Rome, and the devil, of course. Anyway, so it's like I had this video, and this you've seen it other places, where when is how many people is enough for Israel to like to get to the point of where they believe it's like enough of a punishment for the Philistinians, or the Arabs, whatever you want to call it, the Mohammedans. I like mostly it is the Mohammedans, right? Mohammedans, they're followers of the fake bullshitter Mohammed and all that. So that's what it is. Anyway, here I think she's actually there. Here we go. Okay, so let's listen to a little. It's like Sarah Markson describes barbaric unseen footage filmed by Hamas. And anyway, I think she's asking the Israeli guy. It looks like the guy from the United Nations. At least he has the same. He doesn't have the glasses on, as far as I can see, but it looks like him, and he has the same tie in regards of blue and white.
Itself. So what does that actually look like? Where is the line crossed? What number of Palestinian people killed is a satisfactory number for the for the Israeli government?
You still don't get it, do you? Apparently, a lot of people still don't get it. It's not in regards of murdering people. This is not in regards of murdering people. In regards of killing people. Well, murder is probably a bad word here. But this is not. Yeah, this is not in regard. This is not in regards of retaliation. In regards of the civilians. This is in regards of Hamas. Is that so hard to understand? They want to remove Hamas. In regards to the people being hurt, that's not their goal. It's not their it's not, what's it called? It's not the objective. The objective is to move Hamas completely, to totally obliterate Hamas from the West Bank. So,
and considering there are more than 5,000, including children, that have been killed, where is that line drawn?
Oh yeah. Again, this is not a number game, and in regards of the numbers, who knows? In regards to that, Israel is doing the best that they can do to surgically hit military targets, and it's very hard when you have an opponent that puts people, civilian people, as a shield, so they can go out and see how awful Israel are. See what they're doing to us, and apparently without any reason that they're attacking us, right? Because we don't want to talk about the 7th of October because we need to take it in context. Well, if you're going to take it in context, that's...
If that wasn't...
I was like, this book, right? The Bible, right? If you want to take things in context, this is the book. And you saw this Jewish guy, although he had advertising throughout the show, it was disgusting, but... Anyway, at least he had some sanity in regards
graceful enough. It was about to get even worse.
Where he used the F word against the United Nations. But anyway, I dislike the advertisings. But anyway.
Right after the ambassador's address, ABC News 24 brought in its former Middle East correspondent, Nicole Johnston, for analysis. She then denied that Hamas's use of innocent civilians...
Yeah, whatever. But anyway, it's not a number game. This is not about numbers. This is about removing Hamas. It's just how hard can it be to fathom up in your people's brain? It's not a number game. It's about Hamas. It's about getting Hamas obliterated, so they stop, doing all these, depravities and sending missiles continually into Israel, because the Israelis are, this was the last straw, I think, for them. This was like, this encounter on the 7th of October was pretty much, that was the last straw. That was the last straw that they don't want to go forward, because, if they make peace, what will happen? Well, not, they will just continue to fix up for another attack and another attack and another attack. That's the way it goes. And the Israelis, as far as I can see, are fed up. This was the last straw in the thing. This was the thing that broke the camel in some sense. Now enough is enough. Is what I think the Israelis, the Jews, understand. This is they don't want this anymore. They don't want this anymore. They're sick and tired of it, and this time it cost a lot of lives, and they're done with it. They're done with it. So this is not a number game. It's like, how many is enough, and all that. This is not in regards to how many they can kill. This is about getting rid of Hamas. As one of the ambassadors or whatever they want to call themselves in regards to the UN, if Hamas, if they gave up the hostages and Hamas gave up, the white flag and all that, this would be over. Well, at least in regards to the bombings and all that, the war in regards to that. Of course, you have some other things that will be needing to be done, but overall, it would be pretty much over, But they're not going to give up. They're not the hostages. They're not going to give them over either. And thereby, oh my, you gotta be kidding me. Do we have another flat Earth bullshitter here on Brighteon? Is he pro? Yeah, I guess he had like some Bob flat Earth bullshit and all that. I really do wonder if he's one of those bullshitters that is now promoting the flat Earth nonsense. It seems to be like global holodomer, sounds a little like flat Earth right now, being engineered to exterminate billions and forced famine. Sounds a little like we're talking about flat Earth bullshit. You have bullshitters everywhere these days. It's just a mess. These flat earthers just anyway. So first and foremost, this is not a number game. It was never a number game in regards to this. It was in regards to getting Hamas destroyed, and this is still the goal of the Israelis. And again, the Israelis are pretty outspoken on these in regards to having their own spokespersons. I see this woman actually looks. I think she looks like I've seen her before. Probably full of demons. Let's see here what she will say.
Of the War on the West, The Strange Death of Europe, and The Madness of Crowds. Douglas Murray, let's start in the UK, the state of policing in the UK, the extremist rhetoric from some UK-based Islamic preachers, and the state of the media. ITV decided to give a platform to this woman who, in the wake of the terrorist attacks in Israel that left 1,400 dead and more than 200 taken hostage, well, she was on ITV complaining
I think it was around 4,000 that was heard overall, but anyway.
She was on ITV complaining about Islamophobia in the UK. This is Latifa Abushakra.
Yeah, well, let's just get Mohammedanism out of the West, it doesn't belong, never belonged. And why is anyone importing it? Because they want conflict. Because they don't want us to gather together in protest in regards to Protestantism against the Antichrist. So one way of doing that is to import a lot of Mohammedans and to mix things up and all that. So those Protestant nations that was formerly protesting the Antichrist won't gather together and wake up, because that would be terrible for the devil and his hand puppet in Rome. So
this is what she had to say after the October 7 attack.
Nothing will ever be able to take back this moment of triumph, this moment of resistance.
Yeah, Yeah, I remember, this was the idea that they had, like, and that's really still that's why they won't go against the 7th of October, because they see it as a triumph, right? They see it as the Mohammedan sees it as a victory, and as she says, there's nothing that can change this victory that we just had. Nothing. Well, I guess there might be, something, actually, the thing doesn't seem to be so victorious anymore. Uh, but I guess it will further depend in regards to how things goes for Israel as well. If Israel would lose and not get the objective done that they have set out to do, that would kind of be, yeah, that wouldn't be so good for Israel for sure. But anyway,
This moment.
and she's just sitting there with devilish. She just looks like a devil. It's like she just looks like a devil. She's like, oh yeah, we murdered Jews.
This moment of triumph, this moment of resistance, this moment of surprise, this moment of humiliation on behalf of the Zionist entity. Nothing ever.
Oh, nothing ever will. I guess we will just go back again and listen
This
to it
moment
again.
of resistance, this moment of surprise, this moment of humiliation on behalf of the Zionist entity. Nothing ever.
Yeah. Well, apparently they stopped it there, but nothing ever will. They had this idea that nothing would take this victory away. Whatever was done to them at this point, the victory was there. The victory was there. They had victory. This butchering and slaughtering of the Jews, this was a victory for the Mohammedans, and whatever happened to them, this was a huge victory, butchering and slaughtering the Jews, because they see them as occupiers. And this is another thing that is disgusting in regards to the United Nutcases, that they, pushing the two-state solution. Even America and England, the American guy just totally backstabbed the Israelis. I have no idea how. The Israeli guy had just thanked the US and the president and the secretary bullshitter and all that. And just afterwards, the US president just backstabbed him with pushing the two-state bullshit solution as the only solution that was, so and England, as far as I know, was also pushing the two-state, and Germany as well, where it was also again a surprise. You know, so these bullshitters might, these nations might say some good things, but then they go ahead and promote a two-state solution. Are you kidding me? Where are you people from? Are you from the lunacy building or something like that? Because all of you in the United Nutcases are just full of bullshit. And absolutely ridiculous. But of course, where is this two-state bullshit coming from? The papacy, the Roman papacy. Yeah, the Roman papacy. All roads leads to Rome. Anyway, of course, the bishop was also sitting in on one of the meetings, and the other meeting he was actually speaking. Yeah, a Roman Catholic bullshitter actually speaking at this event. And he was, of course, promoting the two-state bullshit. Anyway, I've seen this woman, this devilish woman before, and she's just, she's just totally demonic, happy about this butchering of the 7th of October. And of course, we know the whole overall thing in regards to this, how they actually looked at it. This is like a victory but it's a little sad that they actually stopped the video at that point. I would have liked to hear her just further go into, like, this is a victory that cannot be, But yeah, that was the overall feeling, and they were celebrating and handing out candy as they do in Phagistinian, the Phagistinians and all that. They glorifying in regards to the murder against the so-called occupiers and all that. And that's also the thing. The United Nutcases tends to use the words, occupiers as well, and occupation and all that. And so they want to, they're pushing the 1973 borders, before the 6-day war, I think. And that means that they want to take not only the West Bank, but the Golan Heights away from the Israelites. You have the Golan Heights up here. They want to take that away from the Israelis, and they want to take the West Bank as well. Mostly they talk about the West Bank, but if they're promoting the 1967 borders before the 6-day war, as far as I recall, the Golden Height was conquered by the Israelis at this point. It's very hard to keep all the facts straight and all that, but anyway, they want to take the Golden Height away and the West Bank. They want to rip up Israel, and because the occupation and all that bullshit and all that. And yes, I am very fat, very very fat, and never been so fat in my life. Okay, let's get over that and just go on. Okay. But it's just disgusting. So this is the thing. As far as I understand it, the United Nutcases was they gather together in regards of, and it seems like YouTube have stopped this. It seems like I can get access to YouTube's videos. They try to bullshit in regards of not being able to get access to anything, and one of the videos actually was stopped and all that. But it seems like I've access to the YouTube videos again. In regards of Oprah and all that. Anyway, let's see here. Maybe I should actually have another picture for these. I put it wrong anyway. Okay, let's see here. They're thinking. Oh yeah, United Nutcases, United so-called nations, right? Absolutely full of United Nutcases. We have the United Nutcases here in regards of Facebook. It's actually live. 99 is seeing with, okay, so this must be the General Assembly Emergency Special Session Middle East, Okay, let's go.
Мужчин. Для меня сложности были не в организации моей кампании, для меня сложности пошли...
This is apparently just this talk. No, there actually is some live thing that have been running. But apparently now they are just, I don't know, maybe there's at the end or something like that. Following a divorce, she was determined to find a way to bring up her 3 children. And who did the divorce? That's, women have a way of doing the divorce. Anyway, okay. Move. Okay, let's see here. Move the Philistinians out of Israel. There we go. Let's just fix that message. There we go. Just but I don't know. Okay, so apparently wow, like 11 hours ago. Okay, so this has been running for a lot of hours apparently, this live stream, and now it's okay, so maybe they only have like for last, yeah, this is the guy that was speaking at this and I think Israel was there as well. We have the guy from Iran. So we get all the positive. We have Israel here speaking, the only one that really had any sense of sanity. So we first had the Philistinian speak, and then we had the Israeli guy speak, and we can just listen to him as well. This is from the United Nutcases,
Has nothing to do with people.
Let's go a little back here. So this is the guy, and he tries to play the victim. The Philistinians are trying to play the victim here, after they just, attacked Israel and all that. A victory that, that can't be lost in any way, and blah, 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 handing out candy and celebrating the murder of multiple Jews, 1,400 Jews, and I think it was like 4,000 hurt and 200 captured, which are still hostages at, they haven't even told, they don't even want to say they're sorry about this. They don't want to hand out the hostages. They see this as a victory, a Mohammedan victory against the Jews, So, and here they clap to the Philistinian. I don't know if you're not allowed to say boo, but but apparently the world is clapping in, a good amount at least, are clapping in support of the Philistinians while they try to play the victim. So, next one.
Finally, I appeal to all of you.
Vote to stop the killing.
So this is the vote thing, but I'm not sure if the vote was yesterday or the vote is today. That was something that was going to come today in regards to Friday, in regards to the United Nations and all that. So
vote for humanitarian aid to reach those.
Yeah, let's vote for Egypt to open up her borders, right?
Whose very survival depends on it.
Yeah.
Vote to stop this madness. You have a chance to do something, to give an important signal. Choose justice, not vengeance. Choose to defend the law, not justify its breach.
Yeah, but you're still firing rockets into Israel, right? Are you guys not firing rockets? No, Hamas is still firing rockets. And, you get some peace and you will just do the same thing over and over and over again, because that's what you have been doing. Firing rockets, doing all these, evil things against the Jews. And it just continues and continues and continues. And now the Jews have had enough. Now the Jews have just said, this is enough. This is enough.
Choose peace, not more wars.
Yeah, so in regards of peace and all that, how did that work out in regards to the 7th of October? Have you heard anyone say they are sorry for the attack of the 7th of October? Or do they say, well, the Israelis are occupiers, so it's okay to do that? So it's okay for you to murder, civilians and butcher them and slaughter them and all that. But while Israel is trying to target military targets, then you put civilian targets in front to have them killed, so you can tell the world or see how bad Israel is. You only have to be careful in regards to what you say in regards of things, in regards of, sorry, my brain is not, I haven't had some coffee or anything like that. And it's so many things are going on these days. But the thing is, in regards of opposition, is that you people were killing civilians, You slaughtered and butchered people at their home, children and whatnot, And Israel is trying to hit military targets while you put civilians in front of it. Israel is trying to warn the civilian people to get away. They do they might not do the knocking at the moment in regards to the bombs, but in the past, at least, they've done the knocking thing in regards to saying, we're going to bomb this place, get up, and what do? You just, and they fly us out in regards of having people leave the area that the idea is to go into, which apparently it seems like Hamas wants them to go into the area. So, and that will be a huge, a wall, a further wall of, But they want to remove Hamas, they are done with the negotiations, it seems, They just want to wipe Hamas out. We had enough. This was the last straw. We don't want to, continue to have these rockets fired into Israel and the terrorism and all that. And they, of course, the Philistinians are saying that, that they're occupiers, so it's okay and blah, blah, blah and all that, right? Oh, it's a resistance, right? It's a fighting for resistance and all that bullshit. And anyway.
Vote to put an end to almost 3 weeks of the worst double standards we have seen in decades.
Have you said you are sorry for the 7th of October? Have you said you were sorry? Directly said, we're sorry of what we did on the 7th of October. Because I think it should probably start there, because that was the thing that ended up all of this, began all of this. And then again, but we need to stop with the bullshit, okay? Are you sorry for the 7th October attack? But no, they see it as a victory. So you just hit Israel in the face, and then you want to play the victim when Israel then hits back,
To restore some credibility of this place and the rules it is supposed to embody. Do not miss this chance. Lives are hanging in the balance.
And of course, this guy don't want to propose that we open the borders for Egypt, right? Because Egypt is afraid that there would be an exodus, right? But this guy, of course, is saying, we're going to stay. We're going to stay right where we are. We're going to stay and fight, We're going to stay right in our so-called land, right? Well, I guess this Gaza area, in some sense, is their land because Israel gave them it for this, in regards of that they control it themselves and all that. But, with all this bullshit, Israel is now going in to fix this issue. So they handed over this area to the Philistinians. And what did the Philistinians do in regards of this? Shooting rockets and murder and whatnot and all that. And they could tell that, Egypt, open your borders, and this bullshitter says we're not going to leave and all that. Well, let's have a try, right? Let's have Egypt open up the borders, right? And see how many want to go from the place. And then Egypt and Jordan will say, well, we have too many Philistinian refugees. Well, why do you still have refugees? They are your own people. Why are they all? Because you're using them as a political bullshit so you can say, oh, we already have refugees. They're not refugees. They should have been naturalized for a long, long time ago, You're just bullshitters. You're just using them as a political piece. And then you want to put them in the West Bank. All of them want to put them in the West Bank. A huge amount of Jew haters. Put them right in the West Bank and make another Gaza on steroids and all that. Again, you already have two Philistinian states. You have Jordan, you have Gaza. And now you want a third state, and hand over the Golan Heights as well to, I don't know, the Syrians or something like that. Who knows? Yeah, and that's, of course, in regards to the conflict, in regards to Syria and Lebanon, in regards to these and so you have a lot of things going on here. I don't know. Well, if they attack Israel, they just have to expect that they might lose some more land, if they attack Israel in any way. So.
Balance, and every life is sacred. Please save lives, save lives, save lives. Vote for our draft resolution. And
I'm very sorry in regards to what happened on the 7th October. Oh, we didn't want to talk about that. Or, could you just say that you're very, very sorry about what happened on the 7th October? It was a huge mistake. And we're going to release all the hostages at the very moment. So you can see that we're actually sorry that we did it. We're not going to keep a hold on these hostages, right? Because that would mean that we're kind of verifying that what we did, we think it's okay, right? And, But no.
Thank you.
Boo! Boo! I don't know if you're not allowed to boo at this place. I don't have any problem in regards of in regards of rescuing lives and all that. But there's another way to do it. And that option apparently is not on the table for these bullshitters, The only thing they want to talk about is, and again, you have rockets being shot in, it's just a, refix, rearming, and then, again, attacking Israel again and again and again and again. It is.
I now give the floor to the distinguished deputy.
So, of course, this is from yesterday, and of course, now Israel is going to come on. We also have Iran coming on, and I think the only thing I think is wrong in Israel's statement is that they say that Iran shouldn't be here. But I actually think it's okay to have the other side so they can actually say what they want, because sometimes the bullshit spills over, right, in regards of what they really want, and so people can hear it for themselves.
Prime Minister.
So.
I now give the floor to Israel.
This guy is just very just seems like you could you could end up sleeping. So here comes one of the Israeli people, and I pretty much heard, I think, all of it already. But he seems to be, the Israeli seems to be the only sane. I wonder what is wrong in regards. He apparently has a problem with something. Okay, now he's stepping up. Not sure what that was about.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, we are gathered here in this hall today as a result of a resolution called Uniting for Peace.
Oh, so that's,
Sadly,
again, when I was trying to figure out what this was really about, right? And yeah, okay. So this is another resolution. Apparently has been multiple resolutions, or from Russia and from the United States and all that. And apparently no one has come to an agreement. And as I understand it, today was another of some kind of vote thing, but that was something I can't, before going to sleep, and it's hard to keep it all in. It still says like the United Nations live, but doesn't really show anything yet. Maybe, and again, I guess the US might need to be waking up and all that before they will do anything. That's the UN chief on launching the adversary body on artificial intelligence, which probably will be something in regards of the image of the beast and all that, could become something in regards of AI and all that, and that goes very quick in these days in regards to the AI bullshit. Anyway, that's at least an option. So this, okay, the Middle East thing, and then we have Gaza, Sudan, other topics, and okay, but I don't really see any biggie. Yeah, so I don't think the Friday thing has been going on yet. I guess the United Nations building is also over in the US, so I guess you have to take
this
that into
emergency
account.
session has nothing to do with peace.
Yeah, there we go. Let's go back here.
As a result of a resolution.
I'll go back here. So it's a kind of resolution of something, and I don't know if they have voted for it today or if they're going to vote it for it today. No, so if they have voted for it yesterday or if they're going to vote it for it today. I'm not entirely sure about that. But anyway.
Distinguished colleagues, we are gathered here in this hall today as a result of a resolution called Uniting for Peace.
So this is a resolution for Uniting for Peace. I don't know if it actually has anything in regards to the two-state solution in it. But of course, if it has anything in regards to the two-state bullshit insanity, of course, that wouldn't be a solution at all. It's just furthering going down the line of more murder of the Jews. But, the devil has his goals, and the papacy thereby has their goals, and yeah, so.
Sadly, this emergency session has nothing to do with peace. Every member state here today who is convinced that we are about to discuss yet another round of conflict in the Middle East, another dispute between Israel and the Palestinians.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? All of a sudden, these bullshitters want to talk about a topic. They just want to put this topic like, hello, we've just been attacked. And you people, the whole United Nation world, want to bullshit around this two-state bullshit, anyway.
Is wrong.
Yeah.
The October 7th massacre and what ensued has nothing to do with the Palestinians. Nothing. It has nothing to do with the Arab-Israeli conflict or the Palestinian question. This is...
Wow. But anyway, in regards to Hamas, right? So they want to remove Hamas and all that. But I can understand, in regards of this two-state bullshit that all of these people are pushing. What it's like, what are you talking about, you people? What are you talking about? Two states bullshit, What are you talking about? We've just been attacked. It's like, why are you talking about this two-state bullshit, Why are you talking about that, It's like, it's just absolute insanity.
Is not a war with the Palestinians. Israel is at war with the genocidal jihadist Hamas terror organization. Only. It is the law-abiding democracy of Israel against modern-day Nazis. These are the facts. Hamas do not care about the Palestinian people. They do not care about peace or dialogue. Hamas has only one goal: to annihilate Israel and murder every single Jew on the face of the earth. Their original charter makes this very clear. I'll read you a few lines. Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate. Another quote: there is no solution for the Palestinian problem except by jihad. Another quote: the day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight Jews and kill them. Friends, on October 7th, it became clear to the entire world that Hamas's charter was not a compilation of empty words. It was an action plan. An action plan. Imagine a bright sunny day. Clear skies, music in the air, young people are dancing, a rave, a concert for peace. Yes, for peace. It is early morning on the holy Sabbath. The sun is just risen to mark a new day. It is also a festive Jewish high holiday, Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah means the joy of the Torah, where we celebrate the book of books, our holy Bible. And then, in one split second, this idyllic Eden became hell on earth. The peaceful morning air was pierced with the wail of rocket sirens. Thousands, I'm telling you, thousands of Hamas mortars and rockets rained down indiscriminately on many Israeli cities and villages. But the rockets were only cover for the pogrom that followed. Barbaric Hamas terrorists invaded Israel from the sea, the land, and the air. They came with one purpose only: to savagely murder every living thing they encountered. Hamas Nazi murders went from house to house with hit lists. A thoroughly planned, willful, premeditated attack. They brutally murdered civilians in their beds. They drove pickup trucks with machine guns. Yes, we all remember, just like ISIS, and fired blindly at hundreds of young people at a concert. 300 were burned alive or butchered in that concert. Much of what remained were clumps of flesh and bloody limbs. Parents had to bring their children's toothbrushes for DNA so they could figure out whose limb belonged to who. These Hamas monsters raped women and children, parading naked girls that they raped and bodies that they defiled through the streets of Gaza, while thousands, and I'm telling you, thousands, you can see the footage, jeered and cheered. The savages tortured small babies. Just like the Nazis, Hamas terrorists removed infants from their cribs. Yes, we have it on video. Swung them repeatedly against the ground until their skulls became a pulp. Children were murdered in front of their parents, and parents in front of their children. I've seen a video of a terrorist filmed by himself, who tossed a grenade into a bomb shelter with a father and his two young boys inside. The father was killed instantly, and the two boys ran out of the shelter screaming that their father is dead and that they want to be dead too. All this is occurring, believe it or not, as the monster who murdered their father calmly helps himself to the contents of the family's fridge. Yes, no horror movie compares to the pure brutality that Hamas carried out. No, none. Amit Man, a 22-year-old from Kibbutz Be'eri, and a paramedic for Magen David Adom, Israel's Red Cross. She dedicated her life, literally, and you will understand why, to saving others. When the Hamas monsters invaded the kibbutz, Amit ran to the clinic to treat as many wounded as she could. For hours, Amit worked non-stop trying to save lives. She knew these sadistic terrorists were outside her clinic because she heard the gunfire, but she stayed there. She was committed to saving lives, not running away. Finally, the terrorist burst into her clinic and put a bullet through her brain. She was a Magen David Adom paramedic, the Israeli Red Cross, in uniform. But that didn't stop these savages. This is how the rescue teams found Amit.
So that was actually
Ambulances were set on fire. Not one, many. Dozens of Magen David Adom medical teams were intentionally targeted on their way to tend to the wounded, and many other paramedics were murdered. Barzilai Hospital in my hometown city, Ashkelon, in Israel, suffered direct hits from Hamas rockets. Not for the first time. Hamas has been deliberately firing rockets at it for years, intentionally. Yet, not a single condemnation of this barbarity has been mentioned here. Not here, not by the Security Council, not by the Secretary General, and not by this absurd resolution. It seems that hospitals and medical teams only need to be protected as long as they are not Israeli. The hypocrisy is beyond belief, The brutal ISIS-like monsters abducted over 220 hostages from Israel and dozens of other countries, including babies, children, persons with disabilities, the elderly, and Holocaust survivors. Kfir Bibas is 9 months old. 9 months old, and he is being held right now in Gaza as a hostage. 9 months old. What barbaric terrorist can do such a thing? And together with him, 30 other children. 30 other children. We saw Hamas's brutality in Israel. I cannot begin to fathom what horrors the hostages are enduring right now, as we speak here. 20 days have gone by, and Israel is still counting her dead. It took weeks to collect all of the bodies. Some bodies are burnt like pieces of coal. It is almost impossible to identify them. Countless burned bodies have been found with ash in their throats, meaning they were still alive when lit on fire, intentionally, by the Hamas terrorists. A clump of charred human remains that was burned beyond recognition was found. At first, the medical personnel couldn't figure out what they were looking at. Yet, after a CT scan, it became clear that they were 2 spines, not one, 2 spines bound together with wire, one belonging to an adult and the other, the small spine, of a child. So just try to imagine that parents feeling as they and their child were burning alive. The painful screaming of the love of their life was the last thing they heard, the last thing. Do you not think it's unbelievable that this resolution here today and this session are not solely focused on Hamas's atrocities? When reading this resolution, Hamas seems to be missing in action. The drafters of the resolution claim to be concerned about peace, yet the depraved murderers who initiated this war are not even mentioned in the resolution, not even mentioned. They see each one of you as puppet. They write a resolution completely devoid of any content related to the situation. They assume that you have already forgotten who it is that is responsible for the inhumane violence, and they just expect you to support it automatically. This resolution is a disgrace to your intelligence, a disgrace. It is unfathomable that such a resolution, one that doesn't even mention Hamas, could possibly be voted upon here. Let that sink in, please. Distinguished representatives, Hamas carried out atrocities, the likes of which we have not seen since the Holocaust. Yet, unlike the Holocaust, where the evidence we have is mostly black and white photographs and soundless footage, here the proof is in high definition. Because some of it is from, yes, security footage, but much of it is from the cell phones and GoPro cameras belonging to the Hamas Nazis themselves. Many may be asking, why did they film their sadistic violence? Well, I'll tell you why. Very simple. They filmed it in order to terrorize the Israeli public, to release these videos and put fear in the hearts of the citizens of Israel. By the way, this is what terrorists do. They terrorize. I have seen much footage over the past weeks that will be seared into my mind forever. But there is one sight that I keep on seeing when I try to sleep. In the video, one can see a terrible injured civilian, bloodied yet alive, laying on the ground as a Hamas savage screaming, Allahu Akbar, repeatedly pummels the man's neck with a garden hoe in order to decapitate him. The man on the ground is an agricultural worker from Thailand. He's not Israeli, he's not Jewish. He was merely alive trying to make a living for his family. But he was decapitated with a blunt gardening tool. Horrifying. Israel is not at war with human beings. We are at war with monsters. Here is the video.
Come on. Oh, come on. Technology is just this bullshit mobile. Oh, sorry about that. Apparently it's not better in regards of quality, and the mobile, of course, is making issues as usual. There we go. Yeah, sound is a little off, but yeah, yeah, Mohammedanism is just so wonderful religion of peace or something like that. You know, it's disgusting. How anyone can say that is beyond, you know. So this person wasn't even a Jew. Got butchered anyway, right? Mm-hmm.
My mission distributed and will continue to distribute QR codes with a direct link to files where you can see this horror and many other Hamas atrocities. What you see here are not pictures from Auschwitz, but Israelis raped, butchered, and burned alive. This is not Auschwitz. This is Hamas. There are no words in the English language, in any language, to describe the evil that we all just witnessed. And the reason it is not describable is because it has no place among humankind. Over 1,400 have been slaughtered, 1,000 injured, and over 220 hostages are being held right now by Hamas ISIS terrorists. To say that this is Israel's 9/11 would be an understatement. Proportionally, the death toll of this atrocity.
Yeah, I kind of don't buy the proportional thing and all that in regards of what it proportions to and all that, because I really don't see how that really have anything to do with anything, really. In regards of using a proportional thing in regards of, but yeah, anyway, people were killed, that's for sure, and all that, and it's disgusting how, I don't get this proportional thing, yeah, but
Atrocity is 15 times bigger than 9/11. By the way, our enemies are not 7,000 miles away, they are 7,000 feet away in our own backyard. So for this reason, Israel's mission is to eradicate this evil from the earth. Eradicate. ISIS was the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and Hamas is the Islamic State of Gaza. So just as was done with ISIS, Hamas must be no more. Our goal is to completely eradicate Hamas's capabilities, and we will use every means at our disposal to accomplish this. Not for revenge, no. Not for retaliation, no. But to ensure that such depravity, such atrocities never occurs again. Israel is at the forefront of the war on radical jihadist terror. And if Israel doesn't succeed in obliterating Hamas's terror capabilities, the whole world will pay the price. Hamas's genocidal ideology, just like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, or the Ayatollah regime in Tehran of Iran, is not just about destroying Israel. You all know it. It is ultimately about world domination. It is about bringing the jihad war to the soil of each and every one of your countries. They will not stop until they murder all of the infidels, as they call us. Colleagues, for the past 16 years, the international community and the UN have been complacent to Hamas's terror buildup in Gaza. Complacent. The world has kept its head in the sand as Hamas embedded its missiles and rockets deep within and under the civilian population of Gaza. It accepted an absurd reality that a law-abiding democracy could live side by side with cancerous genocidal terrorists that fire tens of thousands of missiles indiscriminately at our civilians, unprovoked. We have seen that nothing can change Hamas's genocidal ideology. Sadly, not the rehabilitation of Gaza, not economic incentives, not any promise of a brighter future. The UN tried. Many of you tried. But everyone failed. Everyone failed. And you know why? Because nothing can change a genocidal ideology. Nothing. There is only one solution to curing a cancer. It is the evisceration of every cancerous cell. The international community has poured billions of dollars into Gaza. And it all went to Hamas's war machine. It went to its subterranean city of terror. It went to its missile manufacturing facilities. And you remember, 18 years ago, Israel unilaterally withdrew from all of Gaza. We withdrew from all of Gaza. Hamas could have invested the international funding it received into building power plants, water desalination plants, every other civil infrastructure. But no, instead, Hamas exploited every inch of the Gaza Strip for their violent goals. Because to Hamas, Gazan civilians are nothing more than mere cannon fodder, human shields who in death become pawns for Hamas's libelous propaganda campaign. Hamas is counting on you. They are certain that despite the terror and massacre, the UN will still come to their rescue and prevent Israel from defending itself. Friends, Israel is on a rescue mission to save our hostages, to save our future, and to save the people of Gaza from their savage tyrants. A rescue mission. And colleagues, the rescue mission can end quickly. Now, it can end now. No need for complicated, empty resolutions. It can end now. Should Hamas put down their arms, return our hostages, and turn themselves in, this war will end without one more shot being fired. Not even one. Why do you not unite and call on Hamas to do this? If the drafters of this resolution truly want peace, if they truly want an immediate solution, then why do they not demand this of Hamas? Instead, this resolution does the exact opposite of finding a solution. The exact opposite. Rather than promoting peace, it only ensures more violence. It should be called uniting for terror, not uniting for peace. Israel has been attacked and continues to be attacked. This is a fact right now in the south from Hamas and in the north from Hezbollah. Meanwhile, the resolution calls for an immediate ceasefire. A ceasefire means giving Hamas time to rearm itself so they can massacre us again. This is not speculation. They will do so. You all know this. Any call for a ceasefire is not an attempt at peace. It is an attempt to tie Israel's hands, preventing us from eliminating a huge threat to our citizens. But the resolution's distortions go even deeper than that. Hamas, the terror group that started this war, I reiterate, is not even mentioned, not even once. In fact, the only hidden reference to these barbaric terrorists can be found in calls on both parties. Both parties? This is a false, immoral comparison between the law-abiding democracy of Israel and a genocidal jihadist. And the drafters are counting on the fact that each and every distinguished representative here will blindly go along with their ploy. This resolution is an insult to your intelligence, and the only place this resolution belongs is in the dustbin of history. The dustbin of history. But colleagues, this resolution is not the only thing here today that is detached from reality. In a short time, a representative of the evil regime that trained, funded, and armed Hamas for the October 7th massacre will address you. The Ayatollah regime of Iran has the blood of thousands of Israelis on its hands. It has the blood of hundreds of thousands of oppressed Iranians, of Ukrainians, of Americans, of Emiratis, and so many others on its hands. Iran is known as the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, and for good reason. It's completely natural that the foreign minister of this brutal regime should be the speaker following the resolution drafter. The country with a Nazi ideology of annihilating Israel publicly says, stands in solidarity with its proxy Hamas, which shares the same Nazi ideology and aims for our destruction. This is completely understandable. Indeed, Mere days ago, he spoke with the leaders of Hamas and its twin terror group, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, praising them for the slaughter. And today he is here to fill your ears with poison. Indeed, uniting for peace, uniting to butcher every Israeli to pieces. This man, the mass murderer, or any other representative of the terror regime in Iran has no place at the UN, let alone in the family of nations. It is a moral stain on the UN and the values it was founded upon. Distinguished colleagues, this week the UN celebrated its 78th birthday. Yet, looking at this resolution and the honorary guests hosted it today in these halls, this organization has shown that it is so broken, so morally corrupt, that I do not have high hopes that it will make it to 90, let alone 100. I'm just a realist. Today serves as the clearest proof that this body is bleeding its relevance, legitimacy, and justification. What we are witnessing today is a desecration of what the UN was meant to be. Following the horrors of the Holocaust, this institution was established to prevent atrocities from repeating themselves. Yet, in these very halls, we have perpetrators of the most grotesque human rights violations and crimes against humanity who also exploit their power and so-called members of the family of nations only to single out law-abiding democracies such as Israel. If this organization wants to maintain any shred of legitimacy, it is imperative that you, please, distinguished representatives, no longer play along with this farce of anti-Israel double standards. Vote against this biased resolution. Stand on the right side of history. Don't stand with the genocidal jihadists committed to your destruction. Rise above internal political considerations and do what is moral and right. Mr. President, Israel will not stop fighting for the truth, even if we remain the sole voice of reason in these halls. Israel will continue combating the genocidal terrorists committed to our destruction. We will not rest until Hamas is obliterated and our hostages are returned home. And we will bring them home. I will conclude with a moment of silence for all the victims of Hamas's atrocity. If the supporters of this resolution choose to ignore the victims in their text, I will pay respect to their memory. Thank you, Mr. President.
I now give the floor to the distinguished Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Kingdom of Jordan, His Excellency Ayman Safadi, on behalf of the Arab Group.
So that was pretty much it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mr. President, dear friends, it is at such times
I guess
of
it's
cruelty, inhumanity, and total disregard for international law that we must speak out.
Oh yeah, okay. So this is the what is this guy? I can't remember. Let's see what it says. Let's see here. It's like a little hard to. Now we have some food incoming and it worked.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mr. President, dear friends,
Ukrainians, of Americans,
I see.
truth, even if we remain the sole voice of reason, is oblivious of president.
I see. Didn't really get. My brain is just overfilled, pretty much.
I now give the floor to the distinguished Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Kingdom of Jordan, His Excellency Ayman Safadi.
Yeah, the Kingdom of Jordan, that is full of bullshit. Like Egypt and pretty much all of the every single nation in the world is just full of nutcases. So again, the United Nutcases. We also have Iran. Now, one of the things why I do like that, that he's invited or whatever, that he's part of it, is that we can hear him speak in regards of things and this and that, how they look at things. They might not be totally direct, but they might actually still say something that, and that's one of the reasons why it's nice to actually have, the enemies on the table in some sense. Anyway, what do you call it? Okay, let's see here. Oh, there we go. Oh, why did it post it like twice? It's just technology is just absolutely full of nonsense. Maybe it's like this double thing of doing multiple things. I probably shouldn't do that, because I can't do it anyway, apparently. What's this nonsense? Like, why did it change from... you gotta be kidding. It's just... it goes from one thing, issue, to another issue, instead of just doing what you want and expect it to do. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. So now, there we go. Now it's working. Well, it's well, it Mel. Well, it wasn't fast food. All right. And oh yeah. Oh. See you, man. All right. There we go. Oh well, maybe we should need to get some clothing on. I guess it's. Oh well, we listen to the Iranian guy. I guess. Oh.
In the name of God, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen.
Whose God is that?
You mean Your Excellency for holding this meeting. The world knows that the Islamic Republic of Iran plays the most constructive role in helping peace and security, as well as fighting terrorism and ISIS. Mr. President, it has been 3 weeks that we have been witness to the war crimes and genocide of the occupying Israeli regime in Gaza and the West Bank of Palestine. The United States and several European countries have sided with the occupying regime of Israel without observing the UN Charter and international law.
So this is the Iranian guy. Yeah. What is this? It's lots of things. Yeah. Oh no! What is going on? Just give me a break. Like, what are you? I'm not pushing anything, right? It just does all the things. A lot of things that you don't want to do. But anyway, there we go. Yep. There. Let's see here. Yeah. So, yeah. Yups. Let's see here. Yeah, it seems to work in regards of my trying to get the ability to actually be able to shop on the internet again without without being pushed into the direction of. It's like, there's so many things going on in regards of. And it's interesting how they are really, really against, So it must be doing something against them. Yeah, I had some things I wanted to order from that place as well. Anyway, I'm kicking off topic. Let's go back to the Iranian guy and see if we can listen to him. But yeah, I guess they're just full of bullshit. I don't know what they're pushing this nonsense and yeah, if we can find the tab, have so many. There was an Oprah, right? Oh, there we go.
They call a Palestinian liberation movement a terrorist, which has the right to self-defense and self-determination.
There we go with the self-defense and self-determination. It's it over and over and all these self-determination. Yeah, and they just pretty much shot rocket at Israel and all that. So I guess they chose their path, right? And self-defense was like who's defending? Isn't it Israel that is actually now defending themselves? Who attacked who? It's like
But they refer to the occupying and war.
There we go. The occupying and war criminal regime. Let's try that again. Yeah.
But they refer to the occupying and war.
War criminal regime. So they are against the occupying war criminal regime, which is the Jews, right? That's the Jews. That's the
criminal regime.
They're criminals as well, right? These Jews are criminals.
Committing genocide.
So they're committing genocide in Gaza.
And having the right to self-defense.
Who are having the right to self-defense. Oh yeah. Let just have Gaza do whatever they want to the Jews, right? Let them butcher them and all that, and I'm like.
Fortunately, this is the state of our world today. This is the situation of the Security Council, which was supposed to try to establish world peace and security. Today, United States and several European countries are watching and supporting the killing of about 7,000 civilians in less than 3 weeks by the Israeli regime in Gaza and West Bank of Palestine. And they help this regime militarily and financially. We recommend the United States to work for peace and security, not war against people, children, and women. Instead of sending rockets, tanks, and bombs to be used against Gaza, United States should stop supporting genocide in Gaza and Palestine. Mr. President, the history of Iranian civilization shows that we have always supported peace and security. But today in New York and the United Nations, I say frankly to the American statesmen who are now managing the genocide in Palestine that we do not welcome to expansion of the war in the region. But I warn, if the genocide in Gaza continues, they will not be spared from this fire. It is our home, and West Asia is our region.
Apparently they call it West Asia. That's interesting, Asia.
We do not compromise.
I guess they don't call it the Middle East, they call it West Asia. So I guess Asia in regards of Turkey, right? And then West Asia. I wonder what Asia actually means,
Any party and any side. And we have no reservation when it comes to our home's security. The genocide in Gaza must stop immediately. The forced displacement of the people of Gaza must be stopped.
See here.
Genocide in Gaza must stop immediately. The forced displacement of the people of Gaza must be stopped immediately. Today, Gaza is waiting for urgent and vital humanitarian aid. According to international law, the Palestinian Liberation Movement, Hamas, is fighting the occupation and has a legitimate right. Mr. President, according to our negotiations, Hamas is ready to release civilian prisoners. On the other hand, the world should support the release of 6,000 Palestinians held in Israeli.
Wait. So Israel needs to, and this is the thing. Apparently, they apparently in the past, Israel apparently gave up was like 100 Palestinians that was in jail for one hostage or something like that. So apparently they believe that taking 200 hostages will equal that they should be releasing 6,000 hostages. 600 people in jail. Now, why would these people be in jail? Those 6,000. Do you think there's a lot of criminals, terrorists amongst those 6,000? You think that's like an idea that why they're actually in there? If we check those people in regards to what they actually had done and compared,
is fighting the occupation.
But again, it's nice to know, having a spokesman from inside of there in some sense, right? I know Iran is but they're still part of this whole game. To actually understand what is that they actually,
and has a legitimate.
So there's no,
It's right, Mr. President. According to our negotiations, Hamas is ready to release civilian prisoners.
Oh, so they're ready to release the prisoners, but they're hostages, right?
On the other hand, the world should support the release of 6,000 Palestinians held in Israeli prisons.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's nothing in regards to, there's no reason why they're actually there, right? Mm-hmm.
Now, allow me to continue the rest of my remark in the Persian.
So it's okay, they, we want to have an exchange of both sides, 6,000 from here and 200 from there, right? Whereas these over here, the 6,000 might be a very good reason why they're actually in jail.
Persian language.
Trying to murder some Jews,
Mr. President, according to history and based on documents of the United Nations, the Palestinian issue has a history of about 80 years. Therefore, trying to reduce its dimensions to just one attack and on a Palestinian liberation group.
Liberation. Oh, yeah. You see, those people in Gaza are just liberators, right? They are the resistance, and they are fighting the occupiers and whatnot, and whatever garbage.
Is a big lie. According to...
What? I was okay, can you actually...
To just one attack and on a Palestinian liberation group is a big lie.
Oh, yeah, in regards to, just putting it on one specific thing, which, again, this little, this event was something that, they saw as a victory. That is this is a huge victory. We can't lose whatever Israel is going to do to us. This is a historical victory for us, right? It will never be taken away. Whatever Israel is going to do to us at this point, it will never be taken away. They see this murderous, filthy, disgusting, Nazi practice, and I guess it actually is even worse. Maybe it's just diabolical Ustashi slaughter and butchering and all that. Well, I guess that was some grim images in regards to Ustashi, maybe, but at least on up there, as disgusting history that the Roman Catholics and the Romanizers have tried to rewrite as well, and all that absolute disgusting. Either make people forget about it or rewrite history and remove the true history about it. Mm-hmm.
Lie. According to the international law, as well as hundreds of resolutions of this very...
Like, again, they never make any, in regards to the 7th October. Did you hear anyone say sorry? Sorry, we attacked and butchered and slaughtered the Jews, on the 7th of October. Did you hear anything about that, right? No, because they see it as a victory. They see it like as a, huge victory. And it's just... So yeah, it's so they're not going to they're just going to say, well, you have to see it in the context. Yeah, the context. And what is the context? This is the context. This is the context. If you want to really, talk about context, this is the context. And you are on foreign soil. All the Philistinians should get out, who have an issue with the Jews having come back to their homeland. It's the Jewish homeland, owned by Jehovah, gave it to the Israelites, and here they are again. So maybe you should stop cursing them. You always, oh, God might this and God might that. Which God are you talking about? You're talking about the devil, right? Mm-hmm.
The entire land of Palestine.
There we go. The entire land of Palestine is an occupied land. Oh, really? Really? So the entire land of Palestine is an occupied land. Really? Well, occupied by who? Oh, those filthy, stinking Jews, Really? Really?
Occupy the land, and according to this, the Zionist regime is recognized as an aggressor and an occupier. The Palestinian nation.
So you see, the Jews are the occupiers because, and see here, so the Jews was given over like a place in 1948, right? And they accepted it, and then bang, all the Arab nations, whatever, well, I think this was 5 Arab nations, get in there, try to kill them, actually tell the Philistinians or Arabs to get out because we're going in and we're going to smash Israel, and then you can come back afterwards. Well, that didn't really work out because Israel kind of won, and thereby still exists. If the Arab countries had won, Israel wouldn't be there. But lo and behold, they won the day, and and they did that, a couple of times throughout history in regards to the wars that was made against them to annihilate them. And lo and behold, well, here they still are, right? So in regards of Mohammedans doing absolutely wicked atrocities, is nothing new either. So this is just one more of these disgusting, filthy atrocities.
Nation, like any other nation under occupation, has the indisputable...
So, again, this occupation bullshit. And so, let's see here. So the people in Gaza is allowed to butcher and slaughter the Jews because the Jews are the occupiers, right? So, but the Jews are not allowed to do anything against them because they're the Jews are the occupiers here, right? So they're not allowed to do anything against the Philistinians, but the Philistinians are okay to just butcher and slaughter and murder the Jews. So,
Mutable an inherent right of self-determination and has the right to directly and freely decide on its independence and to create an independent government.
Well, though they kind of had that in Gaza, and that didn't really go really well, right?
To decide for itself according to international law, and
so,
as
of course, this bullshitter will, I would believe that he would be promoting the 2-state bullshit as well. That wouldn't be a surprise at all, in regards to all the Mohammedan nations. Of course, he's representing the Persians, which are not really Arab, but I don't know why this is it. As far as the sources talked about, there was like 98% Persians. So, but they are Mohammedans, but they're Persians. They're not Arabs, but they're Persians, but they're Mohammedans. Okay, so that's what they have in common. So I don't know in regards to saying the Arab nations, which really is the Mohammedan nations. There might be a lot of Arabs amongst them, right? In regards of, but it's not all of them are, Arabs,
As specified by Security Council resolutions number 309 and 323 of 1972 and of the
so we have like a thing in 1972, right? So we have something from before the war in 1973, right? So, like, do you think a war might, change things and this and that, right? When you try to wipe out Israel, you think there might be something, so anyway.
1972 and of the Security Council in the case of Namibia, the inalienable right to self-determination.
I'm not sure if this is, all these numbers, there's probably a lot of stacks of papers that one would need to read and this and that and all that. But yeah, we just need to move forward and get all those Philistinians out of Israel. All those that don't want to, that have issues. Those people in Gaza, Egypt, open up your borders. Jordan, open up your borders for those in the West Bank. If there's any problem with anyone in Israel, they will automatically be sent to either Jordan, Egypt, or Saudi Arabia. Why not make a deal like that, okay? If anyone in Israel, being of Mohammedan, Arab, whatever, Philistinian and all that, have an issue and all that, just send them out. At the very moment there's an issue, send them out, The Jews are sick and tired of the bullshit. They're sick and tired of the, they're already Arabs, I think it's like 1 million or something like that in Israel, living somewhat peacefully with the Jews, okay? In Israel, If there's someone that can't live peaceable with them, well, there's a lot of Mohammedan nations that they can go to. If they have a demonic problem against the Jews, It's all this bullshit, all this is just further conflict.
Nation and independence is permanent and does not disappear with the passage of time. Therefore, just as...
Oh, so some resolution in 1972 before the war, and that's what you're going to, is that, I don't know all the pieces here and all that, but it's just kind of, 1972, and then Egypt and, Syria and, multiple nations, and they just got, 6 days, and it was done, and Israel pretty much fixed that, sorted that out, yeah.
The prolonged occupation of the land.
Just as the prolonged occupation. There we go with the occupation. Who are the real occupiers? Who are the real occupiers? Because the Jews came back to their homeland, okay? The Jews came back to their homeland. So who are the real occupiers here? You want to tell me who really occupies the land? Who wants to claim the land that is not theirs? The Philistinians and you Mohammedan bullshitters. That's who,
Does not create any rights for the occupier.
For the
passage of time does.
For the occupiers. The Philistinians are the occupiers, not the Jews. Passage of time does not diminish the slightest. As he says.
Does not diminish the slightest in the slight.
It's just incredible, right? Mohammedans that say they worship the God of the Bible, right? And this and that and all that. And I don't know. Don't you read the Bible? You know, don't you read the Bible in regards to what this actually is about? I guess you're so twisted in your demonic minds and all that. So you, like, I heard one of these that said, you know, that all of the prophets was coming. That was this ambassador of faith of the Philistines. That it's like all the prophets was coming by from Palestine, like Palestine, regards. You gotta, yeah. Hello, the Jews. Yeah, this is a kind of this in madhouse, right? It distorted history and all that. Here's the facts in regards of the Israel and all that, and who this land was given to and all that. So don't give me a, oh, but you want to use the Bible. Yeah, what? Why wouldn't you use the Bible? Why wouldn't you use the Bible? Huh? Why wouldn't you? You're telling me you wouldn't use the Bible, and the Mohammedans wouldn't use the Bible, even if it also actually is written in that blasphemous book of the Quran that the Israelites would return. What are these people besides bullshitters? Evil, sick bullshitters. These Mohammedans, I'm sick and tired of the bullshitters. They have this outer surface of smiling to the, while cursing people in their hearts, right? Deceiving, just doing the devil's work, They, just know what they are, They're bullshitters. They're liars, they're deceivers, they're wicked, evil children of the devil, okay? They say they worship God, but the God they worship is the devil, That's that God, Allah, who has no son. Yeah. That's their bullshit God of the devil. They're worshiping the devil. They're filling themselves up with demons.
This way, the right to determine the fate of the occupied nation, according to the principles and rules of the international law and hundreds of resolutions of this very same assembly, the Palestinian nation, as a nation under occupation, has the
under occupation. Maybe these Philistines should just move out of the Jewish land, the Jewish homeland. They already, Jordan was already given up. It's already divided, Israel was already divided in regards of what was actually put forward in regards of giving over to the Jews. So it's just, some food comes and it seems to work in regards to the thing, so that's great. Hello. Good day. Now that we're talking about, there we go. We have some food. Great. Yep, that was good. So it's like, it's not like we're to love our enemy, but it's nice to know who our enemy is, It's like, and all the deceptions and all that. It's just, we just have to be aware. I'm sick and tired of bullshit, I'm just sick and tired of the lies and the deceptions. And these people tend to do it, Love your enemy, right? But be aware that that you have a lot of liars out there. Anyway, let's see what he says more.
Legitimate right to resist the occupation using all available methods.
Right? The whole point is that they see it, they perceive it as they falsely perceive it as an occupation. Which, there's just the whole fallacy of it all. And if they can't get around this bullshit, they will, anyway.
Including armed struggle. Therefore, the recent hypocritical efforts to introduce the struggle of the Palestinian nation against the occupiers as terrorist actions will not deceive the free nations.
What are you talking about, right? Listen to this bullshit, all right?
Of the Palestinian nation against the occupiers as terrorist actions will not deceive the free nations and the...
So doing all these atrocities and all that will not be seen as a terrorist action because those people in Gaza is freedom fighters, right? They're the resistance, against these occupiers, right? It's so they won't say it's a wrong thing, to what they're doing it to the Jews.
Awakened consciousness of the world. The United States of America, as the unwavering and permanent supporter of the occupying regime, is the main cause of the failures of the United Nations, especially the Security Council, in upholding the rights of the Palestinians. The country has for dozens of times prevented the Security Council from fulfilling its duties in this field. Mr. President, we believe that the complete and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian issue is only possible through the full realization of the inalienable right of this nation to self-determination and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state in all of the Palestinian...
There we go. But at least, we can hear it from the mouthpiece himself, right? In regards to Iran. So when we see that Gaza and Hezbollah and all that, they seem to be linking back to Iran and all that, we can hear it from Iran themselves in regards to all that garbage, right?
...territories, and with Al-Quds as its capital. The entire land of Palestine, from the sea to the river, belongs only to the original Palestinians, including Christians, Jews, and Muslims. And no institution or country has the right or can give any part of this land, to another person or group.
I just.
To the river, state in all of the Palestinian territories, and with Al-Quds as its capital. The entire land of Palestine, from the sea to the river, possible through the full realization of the inalienable right of this nation to self-determination and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state in all of the Palestinian territories, and with Al-Quds as its capital. The entire land... We believe that the complete and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian issue is only possible through the full realization of the inalienable right of this nation to self-determination and the establishment of an independent...
And this self-determination is kind of, what does it, apparently they seem to be using it like a two-state solution, connected to a two-state solution, right? It's like, so, but they were not allowed to do whatever they could in regards of the Gaza Strip and all that before they did all these bullshit things, Well, that's seems to be a lot of... okay. Pomfrets, But yeah, it's just, so they didn't have any self-determination inside Gaza before they began to attack Israel and all that. Again, why is no one talking about opening the borders to Egypt? That sounds like a, actually a self-determination thing if they actually want to get out, doesn't it? Like to be self-determination in regards of, deciding if they want to continue to stay or if they want to leave. It sounds like a self-determination thing, right? And yet Egypt has closed her borders, right? Egypt have closed the borders to these people. But that sounds like a self-determination thing, right? It's like these words, we really should take these words and really fix them in the right order in some sense. Anyway. Let's try.
Complete and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian issue is only possible through the full realization of the inalienable right of this nation to self-determination and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state in all of the So,
yeah, okay, so, Basically, you don't have Jordan or Gaza. We need to take take away the land from the Jews. And we got to the West Bank, and the Golden Height. Let's just rip to pieces, the land of Israel. Self-determination, right? And the context of things. And this in regards to that, the Jews were never in this land, or all the prophets was Philistinians, Apparently, we don't want to talk about that. Mostly they were Jews, That's just that's bullshit when you think about it. It's just huge amount of satanic depravity. And this occupation thing and all that, and the Philistinians are freedom fighters, and it's okay to just torture and rip people to pieces and all that, So that's okay.
Palestinian territories, and with Al-Quds as its capital, the entire land of Palestine from the
I guess they don't call Jerusalem. I'm not sure. It seems like they're calling Jerusalem something else.
Nation to self-determination and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state in all of the Palestinian territories, and with Al-Quds as its capital, the entire land of Palestine.
I guess that must be the Al-Quds, so I guess they changed the name.
And the establishment of an independent Palestinian state in all of the Palestinian territories, and with Al-Quds
and all of the Palestinians, you mean all, no Jews at all, right? It doesn't even sound like a two-state solution. It sounds like a full state solution, Anyway, let's just go a little back here and take that from there.
The Security Council in upholding the rights of the Palestinians. The country has for dozens of times prevented the Security Council from fulfilling its duties in this field. Mr. President, we believe that the complete and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian issue is only possible through the full realization of the inalienable right of this nation to self-determination and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state in all of the Palestinian territories, and with Al-Quds as its capital.
So that doesn't even sound like a two-state solution here. It just sounds like all of the land. We want all the Jews up. So I guess that's a more honest thing of what the Mohammedans actually want to do, They want a full Mohammedan state, Anyway.
The entire land of Palestine, from the sea to the river, belongs
to the sea, to the river, belongs to
only to the original Palestinians, including Christians, Jews.
Oh, we're going to mention the Christians and the Jews. Oh, it was the Jews around. Oh, my.
Muslims.
And Mohammedans.
And no institution or country has the right or can give any part of it, of this land, to another person or group. The Islamic Republic of Iran believes in the right of the Palestine to resist against occupation, has offered a political and democratic initiative which includes the holding of a referendum for self-determination amongst the original residents of Palestine, including Jews, Christians, and Muslims, which has been registered by the UN as well. The essence and nature of the Zionist regime is based on aggression, occupation, crime, lies, and deception. So far, this regime has launched more than 20 wars in the region, invaded without any exception.
They who attacked who, you know, in regards to things who, and fixed up to war as well, and yeah. I guess in regards to the 6 Day War, that was like a first strike, you know, whereas the nations were readying up to Israel hit them quickly, so they had a huge amount of issues on that, you know. They lost, you know. They took out a lot of these, in a surprise attack. So,
lies and deception. So far, this regime has launched more than 20 wars in the region.
but we're still talking about military targets and not civilian targets in regards to Israel, in regards to the surprise attack against them. So,
Invaded, without any exception, all its neighbors, attacked a number of countries outside its immediate region and neighborhood, and it still occupies the territory of some other Arab countries, in addition to Palestine. It has
I see.
committed
What happens if you attack a nation and you lose? Oh, you lose some land. Okay.
all the four main international crimes, namely aggression, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. Not once, but many times, and in some cases, all four crimes simultaneously. And to advance his illegitimate goals, it has failed to adhere to any humane principles or legal rules. Ladies and gentlemen, we must see reality as it is. And the reality is that brutal occupation has transformed into brutal and deep apartheid. It is this terrible combination of chronic occupation and deep apartheid that gives the occupying regime the psychological permission to butcher and mass kill the people under occupation. Therefore,
occupation, and then going to the backward here.
Combination of chronic occupation and deep apartheid that gives the occupying regime the psychological permission to butcher and mass kill the people under occupation. Therefore, now is the time to consider the real face of this regime and see it as it is, as the General Assembly did in 1975 through resolution number 3379 by identifying Zionism as apartheid and racism. Mr. President, I would like to emphasize that the recent action of the Palestinian nation, as well as the action of the Liberation Organization of Hamas against the occupiers, according to the applicable rules of the international law, is completely legitimate and President, I would like to emphasize that the recent action of the Palestinian nation, as well as the action of the Liberation Organization of Hamas against the occupiers, according to the applicable
Liberation Army, was it? A Liberation Army. Totally legible, okay.
emphasize that the recent action of the Palestinian nation, as well as the action of the Liberation Organization of Hamas against the
Liberation Organization, you know, not bad.
By identifying Zionism as apartheid and racism. Mr. President, I would like to emphasize that the recent action of the Palestinian nation, as well as the action of the Liberation Organization of Hamas against the occupiers, according to the applicable rules of the international law, is completely legitimate and inherent right, and attributing any other title to it is absolutely illegal and unacceptable. Claims such as the right of the so-called legitimate defense should be granted to an occupying regime is also a very ridiculous joke. It is certainly not possible to change the places of the killer and the victim by misusing some expressions. The Al-Aqsa storm operation is just a reaction to the continuation of occupation and the aggressions against the Palestinians, and in response to the widespread crimes of the Zionist regime in recent months. In fact, this operation was the volcanic eruption of the concentrated anger of the entire Palestinian nation against 75 years of continuous and widespread crimes by the Zionist regime, especially in recent months by the Netanyahu government. According to international law, resisting aggression and occupation, including by armed means, in recent months by the Netanyahu government. According to international law, resisting aggression and occupation, including by armed means, is the inherent and legitimate right of the Palestinian of any nation, including the Palestinian nation, and it does not require the permission or order of any country or.
So why do Israel needs any, in regards of, when they get attacked? So they're not allowed to do it, the other way around. Anyway,
institution to exercise it. The place and how to exercise this right is based on the recognized international law. Those who repeatedly speak about the necessity of avoidance of an expansion of this conflict, and of course the Islamic Republic of Iran, we have never been after the expansion or the spread of war, and we will never be supporting it. But if, in the truest sense of the word, they don't want this war to spread out, they need to pressure the Zionist regime to fully and immediately stop the war crimes of the Israeli regime
war crimes.
If they don't want the conflict to spread out. The recent statements of the official and military authorities of the Zionist regime and its actions in Gaza prove that the killing of more than 7,000 civilians, of which more than 62% are children and women, and the wounding and maiming of more than 17,000 civilians, completely cutting off water, electricity, fuel, food, and medicine to a population of several million, and preventing any effective assistance to them, and brutally and extensively destroying residential places, mosques, churches, hospitals, and infrastructure facilities, have been carried out completely, deliberately, and with an intent of revenge and collective punishment.
It's very smart of Hamas, They make these tunnel networks and all that, and have sounds like more like they have nearly a second city underneath it. And then they just use the civilians as a shield while Israel is trying to get in there to get them. So, yeah, it's interesting. And who knows, in regards to the rubble of the houses, might help them defend the tunnels underneath it, in regards to protect them, in regards to further, if, you have a building that goes down and you still have tunnels underneath it, yeah, who knows how much of a network there is, down there. So, yeah.
Punishment, which are explicitly prohibited under international law, and leave no room for doubt that these actions are a clear violation of international law and a clear example of the crime of aggression and war crimes, and also crime against humanity and genocide. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, the actions of the United States, too, which directly participates in this battle through financial and armed support, as well as direct military action and effective political support, are a clear violation of the Charter and international legal obligations of that country, and as a result, hold it internationally responsible. In addition, why the United States itself is actually and in practice and directly involved in committing crimes against Palestinians, it is not in a position to invite others to exercise self-restraint and refrain from spreading the war. Therefore, we strongly warn against the uncontrollable consequences of the unlimited financial, arms, and operational supports by the White House to the Tel Aviv regime, which have led to the expansion and added to the severity of the bombardments of the civilians and the Palestinian women and children in Gaza and the West Bank. The current developments in Palestine also clearly prove that the only result of any normalization of relations with Tel Aviv is tantamount to ignoring the legitimate and historical rights of the Palestinian nation. But any kind of normalization of ties with the Israeli regime is doomed to failure. Preventing the escalation of the Palestinian situation, especially considering the current turbulent and tumultuous conditions in different regions of the world, is a global and collective responsibility. We, on our part, are ready to play a more serious role in this field, in line with our recent efforts in order to restore peace and security in the west of Asia. In this line, the leaders of the Hamas Liberation Palestinian movement have voiced their readiness to release of the Hamas efforts in order to restore peace and security in the west of Asia. In this line, the leaders of the Hamas Liberation Palestinian movement have voiced their readiness to the leaders of the Hamas Liberation Palestinian movement have voiced their leaders of the Hamas Liberation Palestinian
Hamas Liberation Palestinian Movement. Hamas Liberation Palestinian Movement. Yeah.
Movement have voiced their readiness to release the non-military prisoners to us, and the Islamic Republic of Iran stands ready to play its part in this very important humanitarian endeavor along with Qatar and Turkey. Naturally, the release of the 6,000...
Well, that's interesting to see who is actually the other players.
Important humanitarian endeavor along with Qatar and Turkey. Naturally, the release of the 6,000 Palestinian humanitarian endeavor along with Qatar and Turkey.
Turkey and Qatar. I think that's like this new station that Israel wants to take down is getting money from Qatar, a small piece of land next to Saudi Arabia, as far as I could see.
Actually, the release of the 6,000 Palestinian prisoners is another necessity and responsibility of the global community. Mr. President, in conclusion, I would like to thank the positive and realistic positions of the UN Secretary General, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, and his efforts on the ground for sending humanitarian aid to Gaza and immediately stopping the war. I would like to emphasize that it is expected from the United Nations to employ a strong terminology and under the 7th chapter of the United Nations Charter force the Zionist regime to immediately stop its war crimes, genocide, and the mass killing of civilians and provide other grounds for the full realization of the Palestinian nation's right to self-determination. This is, of course...
So this self-determination is pretty much another word for either a two-state solution or full Palestinian solution, right? As he said that all the land, right, was...
the inherent duty and obligation of the United Nations, which has been delayed for decades for the aforesaid reasons. Now, we all expect the current meeting of the General Assembly that has been held to delve into the Gaza and Palestinian crisis. We expect it to pass a strong resolution which is effective and influential by the General Assembly of the UN that will lead to an immediate stop to war crimes against Gaza and the lifting of the human blockade and the extensive sending of the humanitarian aid and the stopping to the forced displacement of the residents of Gaza. Thank you for your sending of the humanitarian aid and the stopping to the forced displacement of the residents of Gaza. Thank you for your attention.
For Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I now give the floor to His Excellency Jean Axelbrun, Minister of Foreign Affairs for Luxembourg. Your Excellency.
President, at the outset, Luxembourg would like to thank you for convening this resumed 10th Extraordinary Emergency Session of the General Assembly. Unfortunately, war continues to rage in the Middle East.
But yeah, at least we know some of the, Turkey, Qatar, Iran seems to be on the other side of the... Oh my... It's just, it's interesting why they don't have any, country thing and all that. They could, it wouldn't be too much to have, or maybe they do have, maybe we just can't see it, no. But, it's, no, it doesn't seem like there is anything. That would, there should be like okay, this is this nation or that nation that is speaking, like when they, a little thing, this is Egypt, right? In regards of, you have all the other different nations in regards of where it says this and that nation and all that. But we don't really have. We don't have it on the speaker. Wow, that was a good amount of food. Well, fast food. Well, it worked in regards of ordering through PayPal without any issues on. And you can actually see what you paid for and all that, so that's great. Anyway, so far so good. Yeah, I don't know how many others actually were speaking. I know there's some in regards of Jordan and Egypt, but of course they're just full of bullshit, pretty much. And that was It's a little beforehand, I think. See here, going a little back before the Israeli guy. Yeah, no. Well, what? There was someone that, here we have the Philistinian guy. There was a meeting. Maybe that was the other meeting, actually. And if you go back, maybe that was the one that started out with Egypt and at least there was some place starting first Egypt and then France, Mozambique, United States, Russian Federation, Albania. Not sure what they are. Okay, I guess here we have the introduction for. So we have the Philistinian guy first, and then we had Israel, and maybe it's after Israel, maybe that. No, then we have first Jordan, but that was another thing in regards of Egypt. I know in regards to Jordan. Let's just talk, right?
Judge us. Let us not fail the Palestinian people.
There we go.
A besieged people. An occupied people.
An occupied people.
Whose days start with death and end with death. Whose nights are engulfed by a total blackout, punctured only by the lightning of Israeli missiles. Taking away their lives, shattering their dreams, killing their hope. Say no to war. Say no to the killing.
Yeah, and that's why we want them removed, because we don't want any more of this nonsense. We're sick and tired of the bullshit, and it's just an ongoing phase of
defend
evil.
The right of Palestinian children,
yeah,
women,
let them go to Egypt. Let them go to Egypt.
To water, to medicine.
Yeah, in Egypt.
To fuel. Speak out against using starvation as a weapon. Children are falling dead under the rubble of homes destroyed by Israeli precision bombs. Some are still alive under the rubble. There's no sufficient equipment to pull them out. Their parents.
So forward and so forward.
And the reality is that.
Yeah, I just don't know where the Egypt. I know like Egypt and. Anyway, let's close it down. There's so much of this nonsense, and it just keeps on going and going and going. I think that might be today that they're going to vote for. Of course, the United Nutcases are, it's full of diabolical Satanism and all that. In union with the devil, and we have the raised by Hamas. Hamas wants to destroy the state of Israel. Yeah, that's exact. But that's apparently okay, right? Because they're just the resistant fighters, right? Yeah. Asia, see here, Asia, the largest of the continents bordering the Arctic. Well, that's in regards of. Oh well, anyway, maybe it means something. Let's close that down. We have this one. I wonder whether I was looking into. So that's a good question where that is. Okay, anyway, we got. Night, they cannot. Night. So. Man behøver ikke overføre, man kan tilknytte sin bankkort. Hold nu opad, så. I'm sick and tired of the That's like incredible how much nonsense there is. So much madness. Last time, people are coming with, I don't get it. People just, I've just this and I've just that and all that. It just sows the confusion into what, in regards of, it's like all these people coming, well, you can still, no, you can't, Oh, no, you don't need to do that, you can just fix your, and no, and then it's, no, I actually don't know in regards of, if you can do it, but I've done it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, all the bullshit that is around. Oh, we still have a little more of the poison. Much better with some juice, Anyway, do 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 do. Do 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 do. So I guess that's a way to do it, I guess. Of course, it's not just one place, but okay. A little more complicated, but yeah. I wonder in regards of, I know I had some, maybe I lost those. Yeah, maybe I did that. Okay. Why Israel must destroy Hamas. Let's see what this is about.
Waiting for help that never came. We've seen the photos, though we wish we hadn't. You know which ones.
I've seen a lot, so it's not really, I've seen a lot in regards to Holocaust museums and in regards to Stasi and all that. So it's not something that totally, of course, it's horrifying. It doesn't have the same effect as it had in the beginning, you know. But yeah, sure, it's a lot of. I guess it's a little, you know. I think it was the idea, you know, those that works with this daily and all that. It's, you know, the more you work with it, the colder I guess you get, you know, in regards of, because it's further in some sense normalized, although, you know, it's just disgusting pictures for sure, and images and all that, absolutely. I could see if someone is working with it, you know, every day and all that. I can see how they could become more insensitive to it, you know, because they're working with it every single day. Not that it's not horrifying and disgusting and all that, but you know, you get, you know, you if you get inputs every single day about these things, it's just yeah.
Now,
I think you would probably be becoming more cold to it.
we're seeing the response.
More than 100 targets were hit in the Hamas-run enclave overnight.
Ground invasion is imminent, and Israeli commandos have started conducting raids to target Hamas militants.
The Israeli army has been shelling Gaza relentlessly in order to destroy Hamas's infrastructure once and for all. And even in the midst of our suffering, as first responders comb through the wreckage of Israeli communities and Israeli cemeteries hold funerals around the clock, we can't ignore the suffering in Gaza. So do we have to choose? Is it possible to support Israel's right to defend itself and remain empathetic to the suffering of Palestinians in Gaza?
Now that's why we are telling Egypt to open up their borders, right? We're pressing Egypt to open up her borders. Are we not? Or maybe we are not, you know. I'm telling Jordan as well to open up the, you know, whoever wants to get away from the so-called West Bank. I was counting in regards of the different Israeli tribes that was actually on that land, and I think it was like at least five. I think, you know, that has some of the land. You had Judea. I think you had some of Benjamin. You had I can't remember. I think it was some 5 or something like that.
Clear. None of us outside of the situation have any ground to tell Israelis or Palestinians how to think about their own suffering. These are the people who actually live in the region, who are running from the rockets or airstrikes, who have attended too many funerals since October 7th. That gives them the right to decide.
So again, we'll have to ask, what was it that happened 7 October with this great victory of the Philistinians, you know?
And manage their own responses to the unimaginable trauma they've suffered and continue to suffer. This video is for those of us who are watching the horror unfold from hundreds or thousands of miles away. Those of us who are still trying to manage our reaction to the constant onslaught of terrible news.
Young people came here for a party, for a celebration, and then they were slaughtered.
The situation with the hostages, they say there are around 200 in total. They say about 10% of them are children under the age of 18.
If you've taken to social media to try and make sense of what is happening, you've seen someone justify the indiscriminate and barbaric murder of over what is happening.
Yeah, here we go, you know, regards of Israeli is murderous, genocidal, settler state, and Philistinians have every right to resist through armed struggle, solidarity, free Palestine, you know, whatever, free Philistinian. So again, people believe it's okay for the Philistinians to murder the Jews. You know, that's just okay, you know. I just okie dokie, you know, yeah. And apparently not have Israel respond to it, you know. Like, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, I'm so fat, you know. I've become so fat. I feel like Baba from the pagan movie or whatever it's called, you know. Huge amount of fat. Anyway.
Seen someone justify the indiscriminate and barbaric murder of over 1,000
Gaza just broke out of prison. Really?
Israeli civilians.
Yeah, well, I guess we know what happens when they break out of their prison. We have, you know, bloodshed all over.
The hot takes are
And they say resistance is justified.
everywhere, and each is more deranged than the next.
Hamas are Palestinians. All of us are Hamas. Fuck your mother, Arabic, UNC, Chapel Hill stooge, and whatever.
First, it was
there is no civilians in Israel. Well, that's the Memory TV. Actually, that's one of the stations. That's like the Memory station. It's like 3 places where you can get information. Memory TV in regards to where they translate the Arabic things. That was Memory, and then you had one more. I think it was called Palestinian Watch, and I think there was one more. But anyway,
first it was
right, so it's translated by Memory TV. There are no civilians in Israel, he says. So you say that even the families and small children and the elderly, even 5-year-olds, every Jew.
Then it was. This is what decolonization.
And they did not. It wasn't even. All the. There was not all of them wasn't even Jews, right? What did you think about the decolonization meant? Vibes, papers, isses, losers. So what did you all think decolonization meant? Vibes, papers, isses. Question mark, right? In regards to, actually 4 question marks, I guess. In regards to what do you think that decolonization meant? Question mark. Vibes? Question mark. Papers? Question mark. Isses? Question mark. Losers. In regards of.
Looks like.
I guess that's a pro-Gaza. Whatever.
Exhilarating. It was energizing.
Then.
Oh, it was like wow. It's like
decolonization looks like.
It was exhilarating.
It was exhilarating. It was energizing. Oh yeah, murdering a lot of Jews. Oh yeah, it was just so.
It was energizing.
Then it was Israel.
Oh, there was no beheading of a single baby, let alone 40. There was no massacre of 260 Israelis at the rape. There was no mass rape at Israeli women or the targeting of elderly. All the above are lies, disinformation to dehumanize Palestinians and justify a genocide, I guess. Genocide in Gaza. Uh-oh, no, I pushed the wrong button.
We've watched the body cam footage.
Yeah.
Hamas, a Sunni movement, won Palestinian elections in 2006.
But some people are
further back, yeah.
by Hamas, and the inevitable conclusion: swastikas at rallies, cries of.
Oh yeah, swastikas. That's nothing new, right? Nazi flags and all. That's nothing new, If people think this is something, it's nothing. It's nothing new in regards to these Nazi things and doing the Hitler salute and yelling the Kaiba thing and all that. It's nothing new, although these videos seems to be taken down here and there, but more comes in because that's what's happening. So I've seen a lot of things in regards to this. And, glorifying Hitler and all that, even if they will proclaim there was no Holocaust and all that, right? But they still see Hitler as a hero because he killed the Jews, right? But there was no Holocaust, you see. So you see how that makes any sense, right? It's just the bullshit is just insanity. Anyway,
Hamas, and the inevitable conclusion: swastikas at rallies.
Yeah, there we go with a swastika thing where
by Hamas, and the inevitable conclusion: swastikas at
swastika as a rally. Yeah. Just giving the swastika. Okay, anyway.
Rallies. Cries of gas the Jews.
Gas the Jews. Yeah.
Conclusion.
I wonder where they got that idea if Hitler killed the Jews but there was no Holocaust, but I guess there was a lot of gassing going on. It must have been where they got the idea, right? But there was no Holocaust, so. But maybe they mean that there was no Holocaust in regards of that. It wasn't like, it was okay to kill them, right? So we don't want to, use a term that might sound like it's a bad thing, right? But yeah, we want to, make another Holocaust actually in regards of killing all the Jews in the Jewish land, in regards of making Israel red with Jewish blood and driving the remnant into the ocean and all this. It's all bullshit. These are bullshit. It's like they will say, well, the Jews were never on this land, right? But then, you gotta be kidding me. And that all the prophets was Philistinians. You gotta be kidding me. But where have these people learned history? They clearly haven't read the Bible, which of course as Mohammedans they should know somewhat in regards to what is in the Bible. But I guess that's just too, it's just full of bullshit.
Because at rallies,
bullshit,
cries of gas the Jews, kill a settler, spray painted on buildings. I'm not going to address those takes. None of us have the time or energy to entertain the profound moral rot at the heart of these reactions. This is hateful, denialist garbage. But some people are asking important questions.
Devilish hatred against the Jews.
Even as we condemn the massacre in Israel in the strongest terms, many people are wondering, why should the Palestinians of Gaza have to pay? Why is Israel making them suffer? And you know what? These are fair questions. Because if you've been paying attention for the past couple of decades, you probably already know the Palestinians in Gaza have not had it easy.
Yeah, that's why we have been pointing out, open up your borders, Egypt. Open up your borders. All those who want to leave and not be part of this bullshit, just go to Egypt, right? But the thing is that the Palestinian conflict is used as a political piece to make issues for the Jews,
And that's an understatement.
Hamas, a Sunni movement, won Palestinian elections in 2006. In the end, Hamas won control of Gaza, and its grip on the enclave of around 2 million people tightened, as Israel and Egypt largely sealed it off, causing intense humanitarian problems.
Now, I don't want to...
Yeah, I wonder why Egypt would do something like that, Yeah, anyway.
Push this narrative that Palestinians are nothing but victims, that they don't have any joy or resilience or agency. That is utterly false. Like any other group of people, Palestinians are human beings who manage to find joy, purpose, and meaning, even in difficult circumstances. So when I say that they've had it tough, I'm stating a fact, not dismissing their agency or resilience. Because the fact is, life in Gaza is tough. It is a tiny, densely populated strip of land where 2 million people live in crowded conditions with very little freedom. Half of the population is under 18 years old, and that means they lived under Hamas their entire lives. They've attended Hamas schools and summer camps, surrounded by Hamas propaganda.
Ahmed Ibrahim is being taught how to put together a rifle. He'll also learn how to look after it and how to use it. Ahmed is a new recruit to a youth military program being run by the government of Hamas.
They lived through multiple wars with Israel, and they are surrounded by poverty, crumbling infrastructure, and food insecurity. The average Gazan lives on $13 a day, and that's if they're lucky enough to be employed, which many, many Gazans aren't. Since 2007, both Egypt and Israel have imposed blockades on the Strip. The intensity of those blockades depends on the year and each country's political situation. For obvious reasons, the blockades go stricter during times of war. But even in times of relative peace, both Egypt and Israel regulate everything that enters and exits Gaza, including people. The thousands of Gazans who cross into Israel every day for work or medical treatment need permits to do so. But those Palestinians who wish to cross into the West Bank or to leave the Strip entirely for a trip abroad need permission from Egyptian, Palestinian, and/or Israeli authorities, depending on where they're trying to go and through which exit. And as you might imagine, that severely limits their employment and educational prospects, not to mention their quality of life. It's not just the land routes that are blocked. Gaza has no airport or seaport. In short, Gazans are effectively trapped, and life in the Strip is not pleasant. Hamas, the political party that runs Gaza, is considered a terrorist group by over a dozen countries, including the US, and their terror is not limited to Israelis. Hamas steals aid meant for ordinary Gazans, pilfers humanitarian supplies, and silences any citizens that try to protest. Innocent Palestinians are routinely killed by the rockets shot from within Gaza towards Israel.
CNN just got its hands on unclassified U.S. intelligence that shows that it was a misfired Palestinian rocket that caused the explosion at the Gaza hospital on Tuesday.
In short, ordinary Palestinians have suffered greatly since they elected Hamas in 2006. That was nearly 2 decades ago. Hamas has not held a single election since. For that matter, neither has the PA in the West Bank. That's a different story. And that means that over half of Gaza wasn't even born when their parents or grandparents elected Hamas. So while there is no justification for Hamas's slaughter of Israeli civilians on October 7th, you would be absolutely forgiven for asking, why should ordinary Palestinians, who have already suffered so much, have to pay? And the answer isn't comfortable, it isn't pleasant, and it isn't fair. The Israeli government once hoped that Hamas might be, well, not a partner for peace, but a stable if unpleasant neighbor. After all, the terrorist group revised its genocidal charter in 2017, removing the more blatant anti-Semitism and seeming to accept a Palestinian state with
Okay, see here.
After all, the terrorist group revised
Los Angeles Times. The revised Hamas charter will moderate its stance towards Israel slightly. May 1st, 2017.
its genocidal charter in 2017, removing the
2017. The Wall Street Journal, Hamas drops call for Israel's destruction, May the 1st, 2017.
more blatant anti-Semitism and seeming to accept a Palestinian.
The Guardian, Hamas presents new charter accepting a Palestine based on the 1967 borders, May the 1st, 2017. Isn't that interesting, right? Oh my. So we have a push for the 1969 borders. Wow. Really? And that's what the world are pushing for as well? Like standing behind Hamas, you know? Doing what the papacy wants?
Palestinian state within the 1967 borders.
This is the message actually crystal clear to the people in the West, to the world community, that this is Hamas, and I think now they will say, now we can make business with them.
And for the past
Oh my, yeah. Let's see here. Let's go to the back here. Yeah.
And I think now they will say, now we can make business with them.
And for the
We can what?
Here to the people in the West, to the world community, that this is Hamas, and I think now they will say, now we can make business with them.
And for the past couple of years, Hamas's negotiations with Israel centered mostly on ways to ease Gaza's dire economic distress, a distress they themselves have facilitated by funneling Gaza's aid money into terror. But in the wake of October 7th, Israel has realized, in the most shocking and bloody way possible, that Hamas's apparent desire for stability was a smokescreen, and Israelis paid dearly for that false sense of security. The terrorists that poured into Israel on October 7th had clear directions from the top brass.
Isn't that interesting? Like, let's see, around 2 or 3 years ago, they fired rockets and all that, and there was this thing in regards to these burning the fields of Israel as well, in regards to sending these, like 2 or 3 years ago, something like that, right? That's 2020, so not even 3 years after, according to this change of charter. They're already doing further things in regards to all the Hitler nonsense and all that.
Murder, torture, kidnap. Fueled by cheap amphetamines, they fulfilled their instructions with savage glee. I won't repeat the things that they did to their victims.
Yeah, the religion of peace strikes again, right? The religion of pieces strikes again, yeah.
But you don't have to take my word for it, because perversely, they recorded and uploaded their crimes. I don't recommend searching for these videos, by the way. They're horrific. The Israeli response was swift and unambiguous. They promised to root out Hamas's fighters, to destroy their infrastructure, to target their leadership. and to banish them from Gaza, ensuring...
Let's see here. Hamas need to be banished from the realm of existence, says IDF. October 15, 2023. It has pretty much been the goal for... We pretty much have that goal be cleared from multiple sources from Israel and the IDF that Hamas needs to be no more. Hamas is done. It's the end of Hamas, which is also interesting when you see Iran saying that this attack was the end of the Zionist regime, and further in regards of the hospital, in regards also saying that, coming from Iranian sources, saying it's the end of the Zionist regime. So that's, interesting. So again, we see two players,
that Israel's borders are safe. The aim is understandable, even justified. Hamas tortures its own civilians, uses innocent people as human shields.
Hamas is willing to use innocent civilians as essentially human shields. That's exactly what we saw with ISIS.
And rips up Gaza's water pipes to create rockets. They've spent the past 17 years destroying Gaza from the inside out. And they're hell-bent on even more destruction. Because their ultimate goal is to establish a state free of Zionism.
How much energy is used to make rockets, right? I think about how many rockets they shoot, right? And let's say these 7,700 rockets, and you need to make every single one of the rockets, And where do they get all the things that they need for these rockets? They might take up the water, pieces and all that. But where they're getting the rest, I guess there must be some explosive as well, needing to be fixed to the rockets and all that. Where are they getting all that from? Who is providing them with that?
There's destroying Gaza from the inside out.
Oh, can they make it themselves, or how does that work out?
On even more destruction. Because their ultimate goal is to establish a state free of Zionism and treacherous Christianity. Just like ISIS. Establish a state free of Zionism and treacherous Christianity. Just like ISIS.
510 مليون كيلومتر مربع وهي مساحة الكرة الأرضية سوف تعيش حالة لا ظلم فيها ولا قهر فيها ولا خيانة ولا صلة ولا مسيحية غادرة.
And as we've seen time and again, they will use violence to do it. And that's why the Israeli army is currently...
pretty much call for one world order in regards to Mohammedan one world order. But anyway, of course, all roads lead to Rome.
Bombing Gaza. That is why they're targeting Hamas leadership.
See here. Here are the Hamas officials believed to have been killed since October the 7th, October 22, 2023.
That is why they're warning Palestinians.
Advising residents to evacuate within 24 hours before an expected ground invasion.
Civilians to flee. That is...
Yeah, they could really have fixed the gospel of the Christian gospel. But, so Israel prepares ground attack.
Why? They're preparing a ground assault.
In Gaza, IDF will strike Hamas in its entirety.
Not because they hate Palestinians. Not because they want Palestinians to suffer. Not because they're out for revenge. But because...
I wonder if you could. Probably not. Yeah, anyway.
Israel now insists this will be the last time that Hamas will be allowed to murder innocent civilians, to take hostages, to commit human rights atrocities, and to threaten its own people. Hamas started a war, and Israel is going to finish it. War is devastating and unfair and ugly. But it's the only way to ensure that any of the people living in the Holy Land, whether in Israel or in Gaza, have a shot at a future that is free of terror, destruction, and blood.
Okay, so yeah, so see here, have the Hamas founder's son, who became a spy with Piers Morgan. That's, I think, from yesterday. Well, 11 hours ago or so.
In Israeli
maybe a little more.
Links to the terror group, and those links could hardly be more direct. His father, Sheikh Hassan Youssef, was one of Hamas's founding leaders. Well, Mossad ultimately flipped on Hamas while in Israeli custody. He spied for Israel. His intelligence is said to have prevented suicide bombings and other attacks. He's now an American citizen after claiming asylum and a converted Christian, but he's watching events in Gaza with barely concealed fury from his now undisclosed location. And he has a chilling warning for Palestinians in this interview we recorded earlier. And I'm joined now by Mossab Hassan Youssef. Mossab, great to see you. It's an extraordinary story, yours. You were the eldest son of a man who was one of the co-founders of Hamas. And indeed, through your early formative years, you worked alongside your father. So you got a great insight into Hamas. Tell me this from the start. What were the intended plans for Hamas when it was founded, when it started, when it developed? What was the plan?
Since its establishment, Hamas has one goal in mind, which is annihilating the state of Israel. Like the best, let's say, compromise that they could do is having a truce for 15 years, a ceasefire for 15 years as maximum, but with no guarantee how they will act after. It's absurd. It's not a secret that Hamas wants to destroy the state of Israel. They cannot accept Israel or accept Israel's right to exist.
What was the point that you decided to get out of there, to flee this world, this environment you've been brought up in?
I have many reasons. Since I was a child, I asked my father many questions about Hamas delusions, about their brutality, about their abuse of power. And always he justified, their position. Then I was imprisoned with Hamas. I spent about 27 months in Israeli prisons where Hamas was torturing their own members, our own people, within Israeli prisons. They killed actually and tortured hundreds of prisoners. And this is when I start asking myself the question, what if Hamas become the ruler at some point? What will they do to our people? And many years later, Hamas became the ruler of Gaza. And I wasn't surprised by their brutality.
When you heard what happened on October the 7th, what was your feeling about that?
Look, as I told you, I'm not surprised by Hamas brutality, but I was surprised by the scale of their attack. Not to this degree, wiping out entire communities, messing with a nuclear power, the most powerful country in the region, a country with a great trauma from the past, with a memory of a Holocaust and all the Nazis did in the past century. They opened the gates of hell on the Palestinian people. This is how irresponsible this group people are, that they are willing to actually sacrifice many Palestinian children, the entire Palestinian people, and use them as a fuel to just achieve their ideological agendas, their religious agendas. They are careless. They don't care for the human life. We have to separate between what's so-called Palestinian cause and Hamas cause. Hamas cause is a sick one. It's coming from the pit of hell.
The thing is, in regards of, when they divide the Palestinians with Hamas, and some doesn't do that. Some that are supporters of Hamas and the Palestinians talk about that they're actually intertwined. Because that the Palestinians are, it's like, it's just one unit in some sense. That is so, that Hamas is so intertwined in society. So, it's pretty much, the whole thing that is. But yeah, it seems like that Israelis and also this guy seems to divide Hamas in regards to the Palestinians. But there surely is Palestinians that are supporting Hamas and being Mohammedans and all that, and so clearly that's yeah. So, but I wonder if they're trying to, soften this thing maybe, so they can, after taking out Hamas, that they can try to push the two-state solution. I do wonder. In regards to, it's kind of hard to trust anyone in this world in regards of, we know that the Romanizers, the Roman system or the Roman Empire is trying to, and they are promoting this two-state bullshit. You see the papacy promoting it. You see all the world leaders seems to be promoting it. So the question is, in regards to this, can the Philistinians and Hamas really be totally taken? It's like, are you going to tell me there's no connection with Hamas and the rest of the Philistinian people, which people actually got Hamas into control, in regards to the voting and all that, although maybe a long time ago. But when you hear the sources from the other side that talks about, oh, Israel wanna take out Hamas, well, that's pretty much near impossible because it's the whole society, so they believe it's impossible for Israel to do that. It's like, so that's from the other side. So just there's some conflicting information in regards to this. But of course, if you want to promote a two-state solution, let's say Israel go in there and remove the main thing in regards of Hamas, right? And so they can't fire any rockets anymore. There's nothing. It's just being obliterated pretty much. The what do you call it? The most solid things of the Hamas unit has been absolutely obliterated. But then maybe someone want to talk about a two-state bullshit solution, and then of course the Philistinians the rest of the Philistinians of course has to be like just look like, oh well, they were not really part of supporting Hamas, right? They're just friendly, peaceful, loving. They love the Jews and all. Whatever. Anyway, but I just you just have to think about that, right? Because they're clearly promoting a two-state solution. All these nations, and apparently Iran seem to be more clear in their spit in regards of from the sea to the river, from the river to the sea. This is occupied land by the Jews. So they seem to be more clear in regards to that. But pretty much the rest of the world seem to be pushing for, except Israel, promoting a two-state solution, so-called solution. Depravity. So I wonder in regards to this Hamas Philistinian, because clearly there are some Philistinians that clearly supports Hamas and seeing it as the greatest thing for their child to become a Hamas fighter and even die as a martyr and this and that and all that. So it's, again, when you hear the other side talk about, well, in regards to taking out Hamas of the, of Gaza, it's pretty much impossible because Hamas is all throughout the society. So, but anyway, at least Israel should be able to take out the solid, the solid inner circle of this system, So, but yeah. Like Nazis, right? You had Nazis around as well that didn't really, but they were still out there and they still supported the Nazi movement, although they were not like part of the system totally. Well, they were part of the system, right? But they're not part of the inner circle, but they were still supporting the inner circle in regards to Nazism, right? But they were not, they were not like, maybe not taking totally part in it, but they were still supporting it, and so clearly it must be. So in regards to differentiate, I see the IDF saying that we are at war with Gaza. This doesn't have anything to do with the Philistinians. Well, trying to divide, but clearly you have, as far as I can, you have supporters of Hamas inside of so it's like so making this division, just kind of trying to make the Philistinians totally blameless, as in regards to this, seems to be doesn't seem to be totally true, and of course, the Germans, the German Nazis, the German people overall as well, was faulted for the Jewish Holocaust, even if they did not partake in it directly. They were partaking in it indirectly. So that's, yeah.
And they need to be removed from power. This is my message as an ex-Hamas member, as a son of one of Hamas founders, that enough of this. If we don't stop them now, the next war is going to be deadlier, and only God knows what will happen next if Hamas is not finished as soon as possible.
Mossab, how many regular Palestinians, particularly in Gaza, do you think sympathize with Hamas or indeed fully support them?
You know, once Hamas is removed from power, we're going to witness people celebrating in Gaza. I guarantee you that. The people of Gaza are oppressed for so long, and they had to endure siege, they had to endure violence.
Well, we'll see, I guess, if Israel goes in to take out the solid core, the inner core of Hamas, and frees them. Are we going to see party from the Philistinians? I kind of want to see that before really, believing it. I wouldn't think so, but hey, I want to see it before I believe it. Sure, there might be people in there that surely is against this and pretty much can't do anything about it. So, but how many of the percentages, Because if they have the Mohammedan faith, right, and a diabolical faith and all that, so that pretty much connects them into this Jew hatred. So, would they really be celebrating? I don't know, doesn't. Yeah. Anyway.
Many wars for the sake of Hamas lust for power and for Hamas political ambition. When this comes to an end, I promise you that the Palestinian people, first of all, will thank Israel for what they did. Second,
Yeah, well, I just don't know about that, I just don't know about that. Because, again, the hatred against the Jews is very, very high. So, I don't know if they actually would thank Israel for that, yeah, so, well, anyway. But that's what he says,
The idea of annihilating the Jews and the state of Israel will be dropped forever. Because Hamas is you can say, the last experiment.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know with this guy, but because he has some good things to say for sure, and we have had other in the past and all that. This guy, but I don't know if he doesn't understand Mohammedanism overall. That you have Jew hatred. It's not Jew hatred. Is not only localized to in regards of this organization, Hamas, right? It's in Mohammedanism all over the world, and it's like, hey, you haven't seen the hatred, like all the Mohammedans that have gone into Europe and the Western nations, how they are. You haven't seen the hatred from them. I was in a support group for Israel, whatever, not a support, a support meeting for Israel, and you had all these Philistinians and whatnot coming to, and it was very, very, very aggressive, And those who supported the Jews, it was just it was peaceful, friendly, and all that, not any aggressiveness at all, and all that. And then you just saw the exact opposite of all these people collected together, not far away, was just aggressive and, what do you call it? Very, I pretty much have seen it so many times from these Satanists, So it was like huge amount of difference in regards of the two groups, like black and white, pretty much, or white and black, right, So it's just a huge difference. You just there's the very demonic hatred that people have against the Jews,
of adapting violence, trying to annihilate and destroy the state of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't work for Yasser Arafat. It took him 40 years to realize this. And Hamas has been trying for 35 years to destroy Israel. Finally, I hope that they will come to this understanding that Israel is going nowhere. If they insist on annihilating Israel, and of course, if Iran keeps on insisting on this goal, this means the destruction of the entire region. This is the only uncertain outcome of this, because Israel is going nowhere.
How do we get to peace?
Yeah, I agree. Israel does, in regards to, I agree that Israel is going nowhere. Where would the Jews go? This is their homeland. This is the exact homeland that they have. This is their land. And people call them occupiers, Absolutely rubbish.
I'm here.
This time, I'm afraid that war is the only way to peace. Because if Hamas is not removed from power, then...
Yeah, if they're not removed, what do you think will happen again? More conflict. Because that's what always, last conflict was 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was. And, in regards to also make rockets, and they also had, maybe it's actually 2 different conflicts in regards of you had where they tried to burn Israel with these balloons and all that. And you had the rockets. I can't remember if it's like one and the same encounter for a longer period of time, or if it was one. Yeah, I can't remember. But that's it's just peace is just a way for them to make the next step of attack against Israel. It never stops because these people are freedom fighters. That's what they're working. They're working to free. Israel. A free Palestinian, whatever. Yeah, well, anyway. Hopefully you get my point.
Then they will build more military. They will build longer range missiles.
Mm-hmm.
And the next attack, the next war is going to be deadlier. The use of force is the last resort. You can find this in every culture. And
I think that was an option that they didn't try. But, the IDF didn't try as far as I can see. And they should have tried to do that in regards to trying to make these people Christians instead. But I guess from a view of the Jews that have, in regards to Nazism and all that, their outlook on so-called Christianity is not so positive either. So... because of the Holocaust and all that, Hitler was a good Roman Catholic, which of course a Catholic is a child of the devil, children of the devil in sheep clothing. But anyway.
Fortunately, now Hamas left Israel and the free world as well, with no choice but to fight them and put an end for their violence. Many civilians are dying, I understand this. Their blood is on the hands of Hamas, and Hamas only.
You see, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of pro-Palestinians who I've had on the show in the last 2 weeks don't accept that argument. They say the blood of the civilians in Gaza is exclusively on the hands of Israel, and that Israel's waged a repressive occupation for many decades. There's been a prison camp for Gazans for a long, long time, and that has created the environment through which a terror group like Hamas can thrive and indeed win an election, as they did in 2005. Do you buy into any of that? I mean, do you think that Israel has overreacted already to what happened to them? Their argument is, what is proportion when you have a terror attack like that on your people?
Look, since my childhood, and I am hearing the stories from pro-Palestine and from those who are using what's so-called the Palestinian cause. They care the least for the Palestinian children and their future. I am the legitimate representative of the Palestinian children. The child within me speaks. I don't want somebody coming from London or somebody coming from the other side of the world to tell me what is the struggle of the Palestinian children. The Palestinian children, the Palestinian society has been hijacked by these criminals, and anybody who takes their side is participating in their crime. This is my answer to those people. And for the civilian casualties, etc., first of all, Hamas is using, and it's very clearly, it's a fact that Hamas used civilians as human shields. It's a fact. Then it's a fact that Israel called and warned civilians to evacuate buildings before they strike them. But in the meantime, Hamas put roadblocks to stop civilians from evacuating to safe zones. Hamas synced Israel call and warn civilians to evacuate buildings before they strike them. But in the meantime, Hamas put roadblocks to stop civilians from evacuating to safe zones. Hamas single misfire killed hundreds of refugees taking shelter at a hospital, and they blamed Israel. What are we talking about? Civilians from evacuating to safe zones. Hamas single misfire killed hundreds of refugees taking shelter at a hospital, and they blamed Israel. What are we talking about here? Israel is a democracy. Israel is accountable. Israel is not thirsty for the Palestinian blood. In the meantime, Israel is capable of wiping out Arab capitals in seconds. Why Israel does not attempt to abuse its power? But why, when the Arabs have just a little bit of power, couple of missiles, they misuse power by launching them at civilians and kill them in their living rooms? We have a fundamental problem, and we need to stop blaming Israel. We invited this upon our heads, and the rest of the world, if they don't know the reality on the ground, it's better that they shut up.
Mossab, your passion and your anger is very palpable here, and certainly very different to most of the pro-Palestinian voices I've had. And I sense the Palestinian plight of its people is very much in your heart. Do you still have contact with any of your family?
This is irrelevant right now. I don't have any contact with my family, and I don't care anymore. Enough bloodshed and enough involvement from people who don't care. They're just warriors on keyboard, and they're just storming world capitals saying free Palestine, free Palestine. They don't know what the hell Palestine is. I am Palestine. And I say it's enough of Hamas. It's enough of the corrupt leaderships that they are killing our people. Misleading them to hell is enough of that. We don't want Palestinian state. I don't want Palestinian state. Palestinian children need education. They need security. They need life. This is what they need. They don't need another corrupt Arab regime.
Is it possible to get rid
Interesting. Let's take that again.
Don't want Palestinian state. I am Palestine. They don't know what the hell Palestine is. I am Palestine. And I say it's enough of Hamas. It's enough of the corrupt leaderships that they are killing our people. Misleading them to hell is enough of that. We don't want Palestinian state. I don't want Palestinian state. Palestinian children need education. They need security. They need life. This is what they need. They don't need another corrupt Arab regime.
Is it possible to get rid of Hamas in the way that Israel is currently trying to do through airstrike bombardments and it's planned now an imminent ground invasion? Is that the best way to do it? Or is there a danger of radicalizing a lot more young Palestinians to the Hamas cause in the process?
Listen to this. We are going to remove Hamas from power. Remember my words. Okay? And Hamas did not only bring the wrath of Israel over Gaza. Hamas brought the wrath of God. We are going to remove them from power. And we are going to persecute their leaders. And we are going to bring them to justice. And the world will witness their punishment. And everyone who take their side today in this state of confusion, thinking that this is a joke, I tell those people that you are going to regret taking the side of Hamas. You are going to regret taking the side of those criminals who are killing the Palestinians.